Today is September 1, 2011. And we're interviewing John G. Peterson for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress, Washington, D.C. This interview also is being done under the auspices of the History Department at Grand Valley State University, Allendale, Michigan. John George Peterson is a World War II veteran of the U.S. Army, and he was born July 26, 1919, at Wichita Falls, Texas. John is a resident of the Grand Rapids Home for Veterans, 3000 Monroe Avenue, Northeast, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49505. I, as videographer, my name is Wallace Erickson, and I'm a volunteer working with the History Department at Grand Valley State University. John, we certainly thank you for taking time to talk with us about your World War II experience. Let me ask you about growing up. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had none.
You were an only child, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you remember about your early childhood, all through elementary school and all? Were you raised on a farm or in town or where?
I grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother raised me.
Where were your parents then?
Pardon?
Where were your parents? Were your parents living?
My mother passed away. My father left me.
But
my grandmother raised me.
So your father placed you then with your grandmother, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. What was her name and where did she live?
Bertha Kelly.
And where did she live?
She lived in let me think where she lives.
Where were you raised with her?
Warren, Pennsylvania. I'm going to put Warren, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Warren, Pennsylvania. Okay. Did you go through elementary and high school there?
Yes.
What was the name of your school? And do you remember any of your fellow students that you made friends with?
The school I came from?
Yes.
Well, the school I came from was Rush Creek Memorial High School. Rush Creek Memorial High School.
Okay. When did you graduate from high school then?
I graduated in '37.
And what did you do after high school and before the war?
I went to work for Sorg Paper Company in Middletown, Ohio.
I'm sorry, what was the name of the paper company?
Sorg.
Sorg Paper Company. Okay. You were working full-time with them, I assume, then?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. And that was in Middletown, Ohio. What did you do for them? What type of work?
I just worked the trimming machines.
And then when World War II broke out during, or just after Pearl Harbor in December 1941, were you enlisted or did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
You enlisted?
Yes, I did.
You volunteered, in other words, is that
yes.
right? Did you volunteer on your own, or did you go in with a friend?
I volunteered on my own.
Okay. When was that then when you entered the Army?
Pardon?
When was that when you entered the Army? roughly?
I was working then at Dayton, Ohio, and was building Wright Cyclone aircraft engines.
I see. Was that during spring of 1941, or well,
Yeah.
it have been 42 then, right?
I think 41. Yeah. Well, whatever had happened.
It would have been spring 1942, I assume, is when
Yeah.
you enlisted in the Army. Okay. Where did you go to basic training, your boot camp?
Basic training, I went to
Was that
Camp Wheeler, Georgia.
Okay. And what do you remember about your basic training there?
I remember 17 weeks of hell.
What sort of drill instructors did you have? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember your drill instructors and what they were like?
They were tough people. That's why we were training.
How many were in your platoon or company? Do you remember?
I had like 200 probably.
Did you make any lasting friendships with any of those in basic training with you at all?
No.
Okay. Or 17 weeks then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where did you go after basic then?
After basic, I went to 8 weeks jump school in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay. Why did you choose, or I assume you volunteered for parachute training, is that right?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I don't know why, but I just did. I just decided to get into jump school.
Okay. And that was at
It was
Fort...
strictly volunteer.
Okay. What sort of training did you have there then?
8 weeks, 8 weeks basic jump training.
Okay. How often did you parachute out of airplanes, or I assume you also used towers and that sort of thing to practice?
We usually were up at 4 in the morning, and we ran for 10 miles. And then after that, after the first week, we went through 5 weeks of jump training. We jumped 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we got our wings.
Did you do some jump training though from like a high tower on a cable or anything
Well,
like
we did high towers, yes, at first, like a 200-foot tower. Then after that, our first jump, I think, was 1,200 foot,
Mm-hmm.
our first jump.
Did you make any lasting friendships with people then, other fellow students in jump school?
No, I didn't have any.
Okay. How was that training compared to basic training as far as the rigorousness of it? You said you started your day at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Were the instructors, were they as tough on you as the drill instructors were in basic training?
They were basic infantry trainers, jump trainers. They were tough on us, sure.
Mm-hmm.
You bet they were.
Well, how did you get through the jump training then? If you made 5 jumps out of airplanes, were you injured at all or anything like that?
No, I just went through it. I just did my 5 jumps.
Okay, and then
I
you
went through all the calisthenics and everything that you have to go through to get through there,
Sure.
and all that. And then I went through my final week of 5 jumps.
Where were you assigned after jump school then?
After I got out of jump training, I went to Benning, Georgia.
You were assigned to the base there then, is that
Yeah.
right? That's where you did your training, and then you stayed at Fort Benning then for some time. Did you join a unit at that point, or?
No, I did not. They put me in the 506 Parachute Infantry, 101st Airborne Division.
Okay, 506th.
101st Airborne Division.
Okay.
That's what they put me in.
Paratroop infantry. And was that the same unit then that you served in Europe with?
Pardon?
Was that the same unit you served in Europe with later?
Yes, it was.
Okay. 101st Airborne
Yep.
Division then, right?
Fox Company.
F Company, okay. Was that company just being formed at that point when you joined, or was it an existing company, or do you remember?
I joined Fox Company when I shipped overseas. I shipped to Hungerford, England, and they put me in a unit there, and that's what I was in.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you were in Hungerford, England?
Hungerford, England.
Okay. How did you get to Europe? By ship, or did you fly?
Queen Mary.
Queen Mary, okay. That's how you got from the United States to Europe, okay. John, let me ask you a little bit about your experience. It probably was about a week or so, or maybe 10 days on the Queen Mary as you were going to England.
Just shipped on it, just nothing.
You didn't have training on board or anything like that, or was
Nope.
basically the whole unit was shipped together?
It was
then?
all blacked out.
Oh, I see.
All blacked out, yep.
Yeah. Where was Hungerford, England, where your unit eventually wound up? Was it north of London?
It was on the coast. It was just a little town. And it was on the coast.
Okay. How long did you spend then in England? Were you there very long?
How long I spent with?
How long did you spend in England then?
Oh God, we weren't there very long. They got a battle. They got that the Battle of the Bulge, and they pulled us into that.
You made the Normandy landing, though. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were there at least until June 6, 1944. Was that several months or just weeks?
Weeks.
Several weeks in. Okay. Yeah. Were you on a landing craft, or what sort of ship were you on? Or no,
C-24 transports.
Okay, you were a paratrooper, obviously, so
Yep.
you're on the transport. How many others were on the same transport with you?
C-24s. Yep.
That was a C-24 is a flying boxcar, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many other paratroopers were on the aircraft with you?
I think 18. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing 18.
Roughly, sure.
I think it a 9-man stick, and there was two men to a stick.
I see. So it was like a squad then was
Yeah.
together then. Okay. And where did you jump into then? What area of France?
Normandy.
Normandy. Just past the.
The 101st jumped in Normandy. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Was that on June 6th, or was it the night before, or
Before.
like a day before, or how early prior to June 6th?
I'd say up before.
Okay.
I can't remember what it is.
Was it a night jump or during the day? Do you
Day.
recall? Day. What did it feel like coming into parachuting down, drifting down with your
Just
parachute above you, and you knew you were going into enemy territory?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you have any particular feelings at that point that you recall now?
Yeah.
What happened once you got on the ground then? Did you link up with other unit members from Fox Company, or?
No, I don't remember much of doing anything like that. No, just being there.
Probably everybody was spread out
Just
pretty
being
much
there,
and
yeah.
pretty disrupted as far as
Yeah.
organization goes.
Yeah.
Did you encounter German soldiers at all
Nope.
soon after landing?
Nope.
Okay. What happened next then? Once you were on the ground, once you were on the ground then in Normandy, what happened next to get organized and get things together?
You know, they just pulled us out of there, pull us back to England.
In other words, after the land, you're paratrooping into to Normandy, you went back to England, or did you continue on to?
We went back to England.
How long were you on the ground then in Normandy? Several days or weeks, or do you recall?
Not very long. They pulled us back.
How did you get back to England?
Then they moved us. Then after the Battle of Bulge, they heard about that. Then they moved us back.
Okay. So you were on the ground then in Normandy sometime,
Oh yeah.
and then did they fly you back to England? Okay.
101st is there. Yeah.
And how long? The second trip to England? How long were you there after Normandy?
We were there the second trip into there. We were there till the war ended. We
But-
stayed there.
I'm getting a little confused here. You went back to England after Normandy, and then you eventually went back. You wound up at Bastogne and the Bulge. How long were you in England though before you went back to Normandy?
Oh Jesus, I don't know. Maybe a month.
Okay. So it was still summer
they
then.
called us back to Normandy.
Okay. Did you jump back into?
No, they hauled us. They took us right across on boats.
Oh, okay. So you didn't even fly back the second time. You went back by boat,
Yep.
landing craft probably, right? Okay. So it was still summer then.
Mm-hmm.
Summer of '42
Oh,
when you
yeah.
went back. Okay. Did the whole division, the 101st Airborne Division, go back together as a unit, or?
As a unit, yes.
Okay. And where did you go once you got off the boat then in Normandy again? Did they truck you someplace, or did you have to
No, wait
march?
a minute. We went back to Normandy, and we went back, and it was getting ready for the holidays.
Mhm.
So
So it's close to December then, is that right?
yeah, we were getting ready to go to Paris for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were getting ready to do, and that's when the Bulge broke, the Battle of the Bulge.
So Paris had been liberated by then.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were going to Paris then on leave, or?
Yeah, no, I don't know, we're just going to
Okay.
Paris on for the holidays.
Okay.
And we're just sitting around there, and that's all I know. The 101st was going, we were going, and then we were in some little town in France there, and then we got orders that the Germans broke through. There's a big bad breakthrough, and we got orders to hit them. We were in this French. I tell you, we were someplace around Paris. We were in a French cavalry barracks.
Oh, cavalry
barns.
barracks.
There's empty barns we were staying in,
Oh,
and we got word to go. And we got on a 2.5-ton trucks, and that's when we headed for Bastogne.
okay.
We didn't know where we were going, but
So
we
you
were
went by
going.
truck then?
And we drove all night. We rode in the trucks all night,
I see.
and we wound up in Bastogne. I'm getting awful tired. They were getting us orders to surrender. McCullough those nuts, and we fought for 30 days and 30 nights. That's the way it was. And we did a hell of a lot of fighting.
Were we in a forested area or in a cleared area? Or?
Heard of God Forest. That's what saved us. See, the force, the German Panzer tanks couldn't get to us.
Mm.
We were dug in the woods, and they couldn't get to us. They sure tried. They tried everything, but we were dug in, and they couldn't get into us. We'd wait till they'd get as close as they could, and they'd fire all over the place and start to blast, and then they'd let up and their infantry'd come in, and then we'd take them over, and we'd fight them. That's how that was. Because the minute we got wise, the minute they left out a tank barrage, why, then their troops would come through, and then we'd be waiting for them, because that's how it happened to be.
So you'd fight them back and they'd turn around and leave then, is that right?
Yep.
How many times did that happen, do you recall, when the troops would come at you?
30 days and 30 nights. We just sat there. We had orders to hold there.
To hold the
by
ground?
Eisenhower to hold that position, and we held it. That's what we did, 30 days and 30 nights. He stayed right there, and Patton got us out.
What was the name of the forest again then, do you remember?
Berchtesgaden.
Okay.
It was heavily wooded.
And you were dug in, were you in foxholes then?
Pardon?
Were you in a foxhole?
Foxholes.
Were they two-man foxholes or
Yep,
one?
two-man foxholes.
Oh,
That's about all we could do, is the frozen dirt, frozen ground.
who was in the foxhole with you?
Cyril Peterson.
Was he a friend of yours then?
Yep, he was my foxhole buddy. Cyril Pedersen.
S-E-N.
Yep, he went through the whole war with me, all the way through it.
So he went through the whole war with you and came home then, is that right?
Yep.
Did you stay friends with him after the war or see him very
I
much?
expected to see him, and I never saw him afterwards.
Oh.
I waited for him to show up, and he just never did.
Where was he from, do you remember?
I think it was from Indiana, but I think he went to California.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you about him, Cyril Peterson. Yep. He was a hell of a soldier. I guarantee you that he was.
So between the two of you, you were able to fight the Germans off then, right?
Yeah, that's all we could do.
Did you have any incidents where you came face to face with German soldiers?
Well, I got a cut in my bayonet, cut in my leg here where they came after me. They tried to stick me with a bayonet in a foxhole. I rolled and I gutted it. He just stuck my knife up and he fell on it. Gutted himself.
Mm-hmm.
But he was right in on me, coming.
Like in the forested area, though, did you see any German soldiers up and walking toward you or anything like that?
German soldiers, I saw them. I saw dead ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw a lot of dead soldiers.
Were there any incidents, though, where you came face to face with a soldier and
Yeah, I shot him.
you shot him in self-defense?
And so, well, it was either him or me. I mean, he was right in there, coming in on us like that, and I just gutted him. Well, with a gun.
Sure.
Things more out there, things happen that just so quick and bang, it's over. I remember one time a guy hollered at me, "Hey, get your ass back here." He says, "What is that?" What I was doing, I was going the wrong way. I was going to the enemy lines. We've been in a battle there.
Yeah.
Been in a battle. I was turned around and was walking right into
The
the
heat
line.
of the battle, the noise and all, you just got turned around and started going the wrong way.
Yeah,
It's good somebody hollered at you, right?
Guy hollered at me, yeah. He saved me. I walked right into him.
Now you mentioned that General Patton came. Was he and his armored columns? Were they the ones that relieved you then in the Bulge?
Yep. Yes, sir. They sure did.
When you were in the Bulge, I understand you were surrounded then. Did you have supplies? Did you have enough food? And
No. No, we didn't. We went into that battle undersupplied. We didn't know where we were going or anything. They just hauled us up someplace, and that's where we were going. Was going into there.
mm-hmm.
And we got there. We didn't have a heck of a lot of anything. We didn't have any snow equipment, any heavy clothing. We just had our combat jackets and our earmuffs, our caps rather. They rotted out, and a pair of mittens or gloves, and they rotted out, and boots. But it was just a matter of day and night for 60 days. It was just getting cold, getting wet, and it was bad stuff.
Were they able to parachute supplies in at all to you? Or
They did.
some?
They, towards the end of after they said they had us surrounded. But then the C-47s, we could see them coming. They were our parachute planes. And they flew in low, and boy, did they get hit. And oh, man. But they came in, there was only a certain spot they could drop that stuff. Right by us for us to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in, and they came in low, and they came in slow, and then they dropped this stuff. It came out in big bunkers, you know, of ammo and food.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Were there many casualties in your unit? Were there many casualties in your unit at that time?
There's only one that I know, and that was Bill Hamilton. It's the only casualty I know.
Was he injured or was he killed?
Was he what?
Was he injured or killed?
He was killed.
He was killed.
KI'd.
I see.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
of your company, or at least of your platoon, there weren't an awful lot of casualties then. In the
Well,
Bulge.
where I'm at, I couldn't tell. I don't know. I just what was going on where I was, and I don't know what yeah.
You mentioned you were injured in the leg by bayonet.
Yeah.
Was that the only injury? Did you get shot at all?
That's the only injury I got.
Okay. Now, your job assignment, I'm assuming you were an infantryman at that point, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any other memorable experiences, when you were in the Bulge there, in the foxhole, fighting the Germans back for that 60 days?
Well,
Anything else that comes to your memory that's...
I shot a
Stories or-
chicken. I remember shooting a chicken, yeah. They hung it on my cartridge belt and let it freeze. I gotta cook that.
Was the chicken in the forest, or did you find them later?
I lost it. I couldn't get it cooked. But there was nothing outside that one time. There was that guy that happened. But I know when we were digging in our foxholes there, I dug up a German's head, paratrooper's or German soldier's head. I thought I was frozen. It was a lump. I just kicked it aside, to get out. While I was still digging, I turned around, picked it up, and threw it, and it was a German's head. That's what you run into.
Yeah. Something was just buried there, huh?
Yep.
Well, after Patton came and his unit broke through, where did your unit go after that?
After the Bulge, Battle of Well, we just went on to war. He relieved us there, and then we went, kept right on going, right towards Berchtesgaden.
Continued east
Just
into
keep
Germany.
going, day in and day out. That's what we were doing. We were fighting all the way through Danube River and all the way across, and Berchtesgaden. Yeah.
Did you liberate any prisoner of war camps at all?
Yes, we did.
As you continued east?
Yes, we did. And I tell you, boy, the smell of it was bad. It was really, yes, sir. We liberated concentration camps too, and those were
Okay.
big guys, big camps. Those guys wore black and white striped suits, and they came out of there. They couldn't hardly talk or anything, and they were Germans that the Germans had captured. I don't know, put them in a concentration camp.
Okay. There were German citizens that were in their own
That's what they
German
were.
concentration camp. The prisoner of war camps that you liberated, were those American prisoner of wars or prisoners of war or Allied?
I never realized, I never got any prisoner of war troop.
I see. But then you eventually wound up in the Eagle's Nest at Berchtesgaden.
Pardon?
You eventually wound up at the Eagle's Nest in Berchtesgaden, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did your unit do there?
Well, we went up there to surround it, to capture it. So their idea was to do that, was to go up and capture it. So we just went up the mountain and went on up through there, across the Danube River, and went up and captured it. And there was nobody there.
They weren't defending it then, is that right?
Nobody, nothing. No, nothing, nobody there.
What did you find there then, with nobody there?
We just found that cottage, little white cottage, and that's where he lived, I guess. And there's some books around there, some few more notebooks, and nothing else in there. There's a lot of Lucky Strike cigarettes. There was nobody there.
Anything particularly interesting happen there then with some of the things you found or
No,
materials that were around?
no.
How long did you spend there at Berchtesgaden then before moving on?
Berchtesgaden? We were there probably 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks, and then we moved on to Kaperna, Austria.
In Austria, south of Berchtesgaden, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the mission in Kaperna and what were you doing down there?
Japan? Well, they dropped the A-bomb. And we were, I had a gut feeling that we were in Kaperna getting ready to go to Japan to make an airdrop there, because guys get that feeling. When they start getting issued new equipment and new ammo and all this and that, then you get a feeling that something's going to happen. But it didn't happen. But I think that's what was going to happen, that we were going to be on our way there.
So you were in Kaperna?
Probably see the Aleutian Islands and 101st Airborne, probably. Maybe the 82nd too. We're going to make an airdrop.
Well, were you in Kaperna and they issued you new equipment and that's when you had the feeling
Kaperna, yeah,
We're
we're
going to
getting
be-
new stuff there.
deployed to Japan.
You know that you're headed for someplace when you get all the new stuff.
So you were in Kaperna then when VJ Day occurred, is that right? Okay. After VJ Day, what happened? Where did you go from there?
No.
After Kaperna, did you make your way back overland to
Yeah, we were
France?
going back. We were going home. Going to be coming home, I think. We didn't do anything. We just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to come home, and we did. We came home on the Queen Mary.
And that was out of a port in France, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. John, were you ever a prisoner of war?
I wasn't.
Okay. Were you awarded any individual medals or citations?
Yes, presidential citation. I was awarded 39 medals.
Including the Purple Heart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a total of 39 medals of all
Yep.
types. I understand they were given to you within the last few years, is that right?
I never said a word for them. I didn't know they were coming or anything. They had that ceremony here. They gave me 39 medals. That's all I knew was going to happen. It was a nice ceremony.
When was that? Just the last few months or years?
Yeah, a couple months ago. Seems like it was here.
Okay. That was here at the Grand Rapids Home for Veterans, is that right?
Yeah.
What was your rank in the U.S. Army then at the end of the
What
war?
did I do what?
What was your rank at the end of the war?
Staff Sergeant Peterson.
Okay. And your duties were?
Staff Sergeant Peterson, 506 Parachute Entry, 101st Airborne.
Okay. Were you a platoon sergeant or squad leader?
Was I what?
Were you a platoon sergeant or squad leader?
Platoon sergeant? Hell, I don't know. I was just staff
You're
sergeant.
staff sergeant, I see. Okay.
I don't think I had a platoon.
You're part of a platoon perhaps then.
Mm.
Let me just ask you generally about life in the military, John. For instance, how did you stay in touch with your family back here in the States?
I stayed in touch with my wife, and that was it.
How did you, by letter or telephone
Letter.
or what?
Yeah, by letter.
By letter. When were you married?
Mary Louise Rutter. She became Mary Louise Peterson.
When did you get married? Before the war, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it several years before you enlisted?
Pardon?
Was it several years before you enlisted when
Yeah.
you married? Okay. Did you have any children before you left?
Yes, I had two.
2 children? Okay. What are their
two
names?
girls.
2 girls. What's the oldest name?
How old is she now?
Well, what is her name?
Where does she live? She lives in Grand Rapids.
And her first name?
Margaret Ann.
Margaret Ann.
Margaret Ann Peterson.
Okay.
And his name is Tim.
That's her husband's name is Tim, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And her last name now then?
Lipman.
Lipman?
Lipman. Lipman.
Okay. And your youngest daughter then, what is her name?
Hmm?
What's your youngest daughter's name?
Oh, Deborah Louise.
Deborah Louise?
Uh-huh. Stark.
S-T-A-R-K? And she lives in Grand Rapids also then, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many grandchildren do you have?
Let's see.
Quite a few?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Okay. Getting back to Europe and the war, what was the food like when you were in the Army there? For instance, in the Bulge, what sort of food did you have there?
In the Battle of the Bulge,
Right.
we had 10-in-1 rations, and K rations.
Key rations.
Yeah.
Were you able to build a fire and cook anything?
Not in the Bulge.
No fires allowed, huh?
Uh-uh.
Was the food all right, or you were just lucky to have anything, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But later on, for instance, when you were moving to with your unit to Berchtesgaden, what sort of food did you have there?
We just had our K rations.
The K rations throughout pretty much your time in Europe then.
It was a nice town. It was a nice town.
Were you able to get supplies?
Oh yeah, we got all, yeah.
How did you get them? Were they trucked in, or you mentioned you got some supplies airdropped while you were at the Battle of the Bulge? So were you short of supplies at all?
Short of them?
Yeah, or did you have enough?
No, I think we had enough. Had a lot of K rations.
And how did you handle stress and pressure? Particularly in the Bulge, when you were in a foxhole. How did you handle that sort of stress?
How did I what?
How did you handle the stress and pressure of being in combat
I
for so
don't
many
remember
days?
how I handled it. I just was there.
You just put up with it and did your duty, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Go to sleep at night and get up. Go to sleep and get up. That's just the way it was.
Did you have watches set up throughout the night and day?
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, we pulled a lot of guard duty.
guard duty. Yeah. Is there anything you did special for good luck? Anything that you did for good luck?
Hmm?
Anything you did for good luck in
Yeah.
Europe? Okay. How about entertainment? Did you have any entertainment shows or any entertainment among yourselves? Did you play cards or anything like that, or?
Well, yeah, card game, but no bands or anything.
But nothing formal like USO shows or?
Yeah.
You had some of those, did
Had
you?
some of those.
Oh, where did you see those shows?
I can't remember that much.
Okay.
Just remember we had some.
You got together as a big group?
Yeah.
Yeah. John, do you remember any of the entertainers that came during the USO shows?
No, I don't. Oh, no.
Other than your initial effort to get leave in Paris during Christmas and the holidays, were you able to take leave at all when you were in Europe?
Well, yeah, I spent some time in Scotland. 10-day leave in Scotland, Edinburgh.
That's when you were based in England then still,
Yeah.
is that right? Okay.
Oh, I'm tired.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events at all?
I'm just getting tired now.
Well, Mr. Peterson, I certainly want to thank you for agreeing to talk with us about your service in the U.S. Army during World War II through Normandy and Bastogne, the Bulge, and to Berchtesgaden. I certainly thank you for your service to your country
Thank you.
at that time. We've been interviewing John G. Peterson, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army. during World War II. This interview is being done under